Looky what I got. Those of you that are trappers or hunters, probably, at least in these parts, might recognize that logo. If you're not around here, Idaho, Montana area, you might not. Moyle. That used to be mink. Let's see. Moyle mink, I believe. Or mink moyle. I can never get it straight. I think it was Moyle mink. Moyle is some people's last name. They're down in Hayburn, Idaho, southern part of Idaho. And they used to have a mink farm. And when the market fell out of ranched mink, they went to tanning hides. They might have been doing it before that, but their prices are fair. I mean, they've opened it up now. That's, I think, about all they do. But the only kicker is that you can't send them a rawhide. It has to be taken care of. It had the ears need to be turned if you want them to be. The paws, everything needs to be done. It needs to be flesh stretched and dried and or salted. And it has to be dry, though. It can't be fresh salted. But their prices are really good. I had a guy, one of the last bears I shot, they wanted $75 a foot. And I had a 5-foot bear. And 5-foot bear is pretty small, actually. Most of them are, well, not most of them, but the ones that are considered trophies are 6 foot and more. I've only got one 6-foot bear. But $75 a foot, times 6 or times 5, that's a lot of doggone money. And I've got 4 bears. Cindy's got 2. I don't want to shoot a bear and not have the hide tan. That just doesn't seem right. So it's expensive if you pull the trigger. But these folks, I don't know why they don't list bears in their list anymore. They did. They have all sorts of other things on their list here. But the bear was a flat $202 for pretty much any size bear. But anyway, I won't read these off. I think you can probably see them. But this is their price sheet. Hopefully you can see them. And the more you get, the more you send in. That this is the single skin price. This is 2 to 5, 6 to 20, 21 skins, or 100 or more. So they give you a price break depending on how many more you get. But anyway, these folks, if you got something to tan, give them a holler, because they're good, and like I say, they're reasonable. The rest of those places are a lot more money, but you have to do the work. You can't just send them a raw fur. It has to be taken care of. All they'll do is they'll tan it. They don't do any of the fleshing or skin and toes, that kind of stuff. They don't do any of that. But anyway, my buddy Dave from Idaho Mountain Built, he's got family down that way, and so he went down to see them back, I think, in June. I don't remember. It had to be May or June. Anyway, he took down a wolf for me and Cindy's bear, and took them to the tannery. And they called the other day, said they were ready. So he went down to see family and pick up these critters. I haven't looked at them yet. I'm getting kind of excited. I wasn't gonna hide it from Cindy. I was just gonna give it to her. But the bear is her bear. She shot it a couple of years ago, and I was a little worried about that one because it'd been in the freezer for quite a while. And I'm really hoping it didn't freezer burn. But Dave said he thought it looked pretty good to him. But he also said, well, I got a Christmas box for you. After he said that, I thought, that would make a pretty good Christmas present. And I don't really know what to get her. She just keeps telling me when I ask her, what do you want for Christmas? Oh, I don't want nothing. So I think I'm going to just hide this out for a little while. Christmas is coming quick anyway. Anyhow, let's take a look at this. It's going to be cool. Like I say, I'm getting kind of excited. Okay, so the black bear, to have these folks do this, the black bear was $202. The wolf was $137. Part of that, no, let me think. Yeah, okay, the wolf was $137. The total was $274. The part of that was because Dave had some, like I said, the more you have, the price drops, and he was one shy of getting the discount, and so we threw in one of mine with his, and we both got a little bit cheaper. I have these three over here. Those three here on the wall, dark in here, I don't know if you can see them. There's three wolves here hanging here. They are flesh stretched and dried, ready for the tannery. But to get the price break, I think you need 6. And I have them in my freezer. I just got to get them out and get time to skin them and flesh them and take care of them the way I should have done a long time ago. But, with this moving stuff and with work, and I don't want to do it when the flies are bad, and so there they sit. I got to get them out of there. These ones were in the longest. I did them first, knowing that they would probably freezer burn. The ones that are in there now, they haven't been in as long as these. But anyway, right away here, if I ever get caught up, I got to get the rest of them done so I can send them all off and get them panned. Right. So here's the wolf. Ooh. Oh man, that is nice. Wow. That is a nice pelt. Dave said he was really prime. Man, he's really fluffed up. He didn't look that fluffed up, when they wash them and everything, when they tan them, and man, that thing is really, really fluffy now. Wow, that is a good one. Amazing how much the feet shrink. I mean, that looks small. It is small, but they didn't start out that way. Before they sent them off, they were much, much bigger than that. Now, let's see, I gotta stand over here by the door so you can tell how big this guy is. Like I say, it's dark in here. Maybe you can't even see anything. Tail's touching the ground right there. Oh man, I'm happy. That is a pretty fur. This one, I snared this wolf. This is probably the biggest one I've got. Uh, that's the one and only one I've ever snared. And it was, can't remember now, December or January, so it should have been fully primed. Okay, so now this one, Simpy's bear. Well, it does have a spot where yeah, I was afraid of that. Okay, so this big hole here, that's what happens when they freezer burn. It lost a section out of there, a small piece right there. The rest of it looks pretty good. You know, one thing's kind of a shame. It had a white V. You can kind of see it there. A white V on its chest. When we skinned it, it ended up having to cut right through the V. Stand over here again so you can see this one. It's not a monster bear, but that's probably average for around here. Most of them are 100 pounds, 150 pounds. There are a lot of hound hunters here, and they don't get to be that big. But she's going to be happy with him. So this bear, there's a neat story behind this one. That right there, like I say, I don't know if you can even see in here. Dang it, it's too dark. Okay, right here, where my finger is, the back of his, right behind his ear, actually, that's a bullet hole. And what happened? We were going deer hunting, and let's see, let me get over here. We were going deer hunting, and driving up the road, and this bear ran out across the road. And Cindy goes, "Look, there's a bear." And I said, "Well, you got a tag. You going to do something about that?" "Oh, yeah." And so she jumps out of the truck and runs up the hill, and bang, and the bear falls down, kind of rolls over in a circle. And it had been kind of running away from her, and probably should have waited for a broadside shot, but sometimes you don't get that one of those on a running bear. They're usually they're usually kind of getting the heck out of there. And anyway, she hit it kind of back behind by the hip, and it come out the chest. And she's shooting that little black powder 4440, but you know, like I say, it's close. It's probably 50 yards or maybe a little less. And the bear did a somersault and rolled over, and then it got up and ran. And so we probably should have just held off and waited, and we didn't want to lose it though, and so we kind of chased off after it enough that we could kind of try to keep it in sight, and it piled up at the base of this tree, and we thought, okay, well, he's right there. And so oh, I got a deer walking out here. Looks like a doe. Anyway, so we went over to the bear, and it got up and it ran right towards Cindy. And it was the neatest doggone thing. I mean, it wasn't charging her or nothing like that. It was just running, trying to get away, and we happened to be in its way. And so she's got her. It's a lever action 4440. It's a copy of an 1866 Winchester Yellow Boy, they called it, and so anyway, so this bear comes running right at her, and from the hip she aimed and boom, got him right behind the ear. I mean, it was the coolest thing. I wish I had that on video. It rolled like probably 4 or 5 feet from her feet, and that was the end of it. But that doesn't happen very often. That was just flat out neat. Pretty fun. But, like my bear over here, I don't know. Like I say, it's so dang dark in here, but my bear over here, I've got others, but this one's kind of average. I mean, you can see the nose to tail length on that one compared to these wolves right next to it. They go clear down. The tip of the tail is about there. All three of those wolves are bigger than that bear, which is why, that's why they can do so much damage. And there's a lot of people hate wolves, and I'm not one of them people. I do kind of like them. I think they're an amazing animal. But like anything else, they have to be controlled as far as the numbers go. And now that we're finally able to manage them, I kind of like having a few around. I need to get up there and set some traps, see if I can't get another one. But, when they're allowed to overpopulate, the antis, they blocked management for 15 years. And that did terrible things for our hunting and stuff. We don't have, even now, they turned them loose in 95. First few years, they didn't really, there wasn't much difference. They hadn't been enough of them there to really make a big difference. But after a few years, you started noticing big herds of elk and a lot of doe deer that didn't have calves or fawns. And big herds of elk, the 300 head, and you'd have maybe 15 calves in there out of all of those, and sometimes after that, you didn't even see any calves. And without the young ones to replace the old ones, and then bad winters on top of it, man, our hunting is really, is evaporated. It ain't good no more. We have very little here. And, I showed you the pictures from Darby. Darby's only about 40 miles from here, and it's the same country. Their hunting numbers and ours are real similar. But anyway, if they're allowed to overpopulate, like those anti-hunters, they thought they were doing such a wonderful thing by protecting the wolves, but by protecting the wolves, killed off the deer and the elk, and especially the moose. So, I don't know. It ain't fantasy land. You have to take and give, and you have to manage all the wildlife so that they have enough numbers for all of them, not just one, and I don't know. Done preaching about that. You folks have a great day, and I'm pretty excited about this. That wolf is beautiful. Like I say, I think I'm going to hide him from Cindy and not tell her that I got him back, and Christmas isn't that far away. She doesn't watch these videos unless I point it out to her anyhow. So, see you guys tomorrow, and have a great day. Bye.